Hey, this is Danny from Scare Talk. Before we get into all the horror greatness, I gotta let you know about Anchor. Anchor is the host site that we use to record our podcast. Anchor will upload your podcast to Apple and Spotify and many other listening platforms. Anchor is completely free, and you can download the app or go to the website, anchor.fm, and you can record straight on there. There's also some cool editing tools that you can use. Did I mention that it's free? Yeah, so if you want to make a podcast, Anchor is the way to go. Go check it out. Now, for the spooky stuff.
Welcome to Scare Talk, a horror movie podcast for horror fans. This podcast will cover horror movie reviews, ratings, and rankings. Now for your hosts, Danny and Joel.
Oh, yeah, this is Scare Talk. I'm Danny, and I am here with the spectacular Joel.
Hey guys, what's up?
Today we are here to talk about the classic, The Lost Boys.
Oh yeah.
From 1987,
I believe. Yeah.
Sometime around there.
Yes.
Who is... Well, actually, before we get into this, I want to get to know...
Oh.
I want to get to know Joel.
All right.
So, Joel, what was the first horror movie you saw? And how did it make you feel inside?
The first one that I ever saw that I can remember actually watching.
Yes.
That's actually a... Because growing up, me and my dad used to watch horror movies. He liked horror movies. And I'm just trying to remember exactly which one it was that we watched. I want to say The Shining was one of the first ones that we ever watched. And it was a little bit later in life. I can't remember. I think it was that's the one that I remember the most. First. I think I was probably 10 or 12, honestly. Okay. And that's the first, because my mom absolutely hated horror movies. Yeah. And so I lived with her for most of my life. So I never really watched them with her.
Yeah.
So, it was either The Shining or From Dusk Till Dawn.
Okay.
And I think it was The Shining first.
All right.
And I remember liking it, but not liking it at the same, as much as a lot of people love that movie.
Yeah.
It's like one of the... It is a classic. I can definitely give it that. But I think if I had grown up with The Shining, it would have meant something different, something more. But because I watched it semi later in life, at like 12,
yeah.
It wasn't as scary as people were making it out to be.
Okay. Even then?
Even then, yeah.
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 Yeah. And it's kind of a movie that...
It's a slow burn.
You kind of have to be an older person, I think, to appreciate The Shining.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say... I think it would be pretty boring for kids,
I mean, there are some pretty creepy moments in that movie, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, my dad, I remember, didn't even like it that much either, and he was raised on like Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street type of movies.
Yeah.
So
those are much more fast paced.
They are.
They are. So The Shining is kind of slow, and so I could see a kid not liking it. Like right now, if I had either of my kids watch it, they'd probably be bored. Yeah. I would imagine.
Yeah, probably. It's just I want to know. Because I haven't read the Shining book yet, and the movie and the book are two completely different things altogether. I remember Stephen King absolutely hated the movie when it came out. So I want like a true adaptation of the actual book itself. So I know there was like a mini series or something that came out like after the movie.
Yeah.
That was more true to the story.
Yeah, that's what I heard. It was
but
more
it was, but I mean, it was a made for TV, so it was like more cheesy.
Yeah.
So I want like a legit, true adaptation of his novel to really get the differences between the two.
Yeah.
But I would say that would be my first.
Okay.
That I can remember anyway.
Okay. All right. Well, we learned something new.
Yeah.
And were you scarred for life, or
no?
Okay.
No.
Were you like, oh man, I like these movies, and I'm gonna love them and make a podcast?
A podcast one day.
Yeah.
Before that was even even a thing, or even thought of being a thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get to the Lost Boys.
All right.
Who is in this one?
This one stars Kiefer Sutherland. Oh, I haven't done. Well, I guess he's like the main.
Yeah.
One of the main vampires in that movie.
Yeah.
Kiefer Sutherland. He was in Flatliners, Phone Booth, The Three Musketeers.
Three Musketeers.
Yes, he was one of the Three Musketeers in that movie. Like the Disney 93, 94 movie.
Yeah.
And of course 24.
24. Yes.
Also Jason Patrick. He's the older brother.
Yeah.
In this one. He was in Sleepers, Narc, and Speed 2 Cruise Control.
That's funny.
And also Corey Feldman, who I was going to do the younger brother, Corey Haim, but Corey Feldman has a much bigger filmography than Corey Haim does. Corey Haim unfortunately passed away years ago. I don't remember exactly when he died, but Corey Feldman was one of the Frog Brothers.
Yep.
And he was in 2 of the Friday the 13th movies, The Final Chapter and A New Beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Gremlins. I did more for him because these were all before Lost Boys.
Yeah.
So Gremlins,
80s.
Stand By Me.
Yeah.
And this one was a little after, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 1 and 3, he was the voice of Donatello.
Really? I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that was all, like, I think Ninja Turtles 3 was like 91, 92. So he had a pretty big...
Pretty packed.
Yeah, pretty packed, like 80s. And
yeah.
80s
well, in
especially.
Goonies, right? Isn't he in Goonies? I think he is.
I think he is in Goonies, actually. I didn't put that one down for some reason. I overlooked that one. Sorry, he was. I think he was also in Goonies as well. Yeah,
yeah.
He
is my favorite character in this movie, in Lost Boys.
Yeah, he's a good character for sure. Entertaining. Got a few writers for this movie. One of them, her name is Jan Fisher. She did the story and the screenplay. She doesn't have any. She really only has like 7 things that she's credited for. 3 of them are Lost Boys, but the 2 other Lost Boys movies are just characters.
Okay.
So I'm not going to include those. But she literally only has like episodes of TV shows. Okay. So she did an episode of Golden Girls. An episode of Tough Cookies.
Okay.
And an episode of I Married Dora. These are all like around the same year.
I Married Dora?
Yeah, Dora.
Like Dora the Explorer?
Yeah. It's exactly what it's about. In like 87.
It's Dora's mom.
Yeah.
Dora's senior.
And we also have James Jeremias. He did the story and screenplay. And literally nothing besides Lost Boys.
Okay.
Like his filmography is 3 things that he's written. And it's the Lost Boys. And 2 of them are just characters by... So I didn't include those. But we do have another one, James Boehm. He did the screenplay. He's the 3rd person on that wrote this movie. He is credited for writing Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Lethal Weapon 2 and 3, and The Phantom.
Okay.
So
the Phantom.
Phantom. Yeah.
I remember that one.
Yeah.
Isn't it like a superhero? He's kind of
he's like a superhero. Yeah. So he's got a pretty good filmography there for
pretty
movies
decent.
that he's written. And comes the director. And this is really the reason that we decided to do this movie now as opposed to later or whatever. The director passed away, Joel Schumacher.
Yeah.
He directed Flatliners, Falling Down, A Time to Kill, Phone Booth, and Number 23. He did other movies besides those, but those are just a few of the ones that he's done.
Yeah.
So his filmography is pretty stacked as well.
So there's a lot of connections here. So we got Schumacher with Flatliners and A Time to Kill.
Yeah.
And both of
Phone
those. Oh, and Phone Booth.
Yeah.
And those have Kiefer Sutherland.
Yep.
And then we have Stand By Me, which had Kiefer as well.
Kiefer was in Stand By Me as well, yeah.
And Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's quite a few...
They're all connected.
...connections to this movie.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about vampire movies.
Okay.
Because this is a vampire movie.
Yes.
And I, myself, am not, like, a big fan of vampires.
Mm-hmm.
In general, I think they're kind of lame. How do you feel about just the vampire...
Just the vampire lore and everything. I like them. There's several vampire movies that I do like. There's a couple that I don't. Yeah. Mainly like Twilight movies. They're just... I do tend to get drawn more towards like vampire movies as opposed to like maybe werewolf movies or something like that. They are entertaining. Okay. The movies are. They can be, anyway.
Like Dracula?
Dracula.
You like Dracula?
The Gary Oldman Dracula is really good. Dracula? Do I like... Yeah. Yeah. He's a cool guy.
He does have a cool hairdo.
Yeah. Especially in that movie. Yeah. Like From Dusk Till Dawn. I like that one, even though that's not a vampire movie until the last part of it. The last, like, third of the movie is a vampire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like. There's
like
a few
Underworld. Isn't Underworld vampires?
Yeah, it's vampires and werewolves.
Yeah.
That can be considered probably both.
Yeah.
But
the
she
only
is a vampire.
Yeah.
And Blade also.
Yeah. See, I was gonna say the only vampire movie that I've really liked is the first Blade.
Not the second. The second had a lot of CGI.
And third was Blade Trinity. Is the third one.
I don't want to talk about that one. But that was definitely the worst of the three.
Those are forgettable. Mm-hmm. The first one I really, really remember liking. And I've seen it multiple times. So
yeah.
And then I gotta say, and then this one. I enjoyed The Lost Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an entertaining movie for sure.
I hadn't seen it before just a couple days ago, so I'm really late to the party.
Yeah.
But it's a vampire movie, so I'm like,
yeah,
whatever. I don't really care about vampires. They don't seem scary to me. Just seem kind of silly. I don't know. Like the old school monsters, like the Wolfman and the Mummy and, Dracula and all those, like, doesn't do it for me. Yeah. But this one, it was cool. So let's get into some positives.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, for the most part, I mean, it's an 80s movie. So, usually in horror movies, acting-wise, the acting isn't the greatest for 80s horror movies, especially.
Yeah.
This one definitely had some cringeworthy moments in it. I was not a fan of Corey Haim, the younger brother. I thought his
We're talking about positives here.
No, I know. I'm getting to that.
Okay.
I'm getting to that. I'm just saying, like, there were some scenes in it that were pretty cringeworthy, but overall, I think the acting was pretty good.
Okay.
That's where I was
you're going now.
Yeah. I had to, go full circle with that one. But yeah, for the most part, the acting was decent in the movie.
Okay.
Better than a lot of 80s horror movies.
Yeah.
I liked the special effects. It was pretty, I guess, dated for its time.
Oh, I thought 80s. It was. I mean, there were some scenes like they're like hanging from the train tracks, and stuff like that. I like that scene, but yeah, it kind of looked odd.
It was definitely dated. It's definitely an 80s movie.
But as far as the effects, like how the vampires looked and stuff, I thought that was pretty well done.
Yeah, it was. The magic of practical effects, people. Don't need CGI for for the movies to look good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked the story. I liked the twist at the end as well. Which I don't know if we're going into spoiler territory or not with this movie since it's been out for 30 years. I mean, it's one of those movies where if you're a horror fan, you've probably already seen it by now.
Yeah.
Unless you're late to the party like you were.
Yeah.
with it. But it has a pretty cool twist for like a vampire movie. You're not expecting a twist at all.
I didn't think there would be a twist.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, it was kind of out of nowhere. Well, it was kind of discussed a little bit. Like the kids thought that there was some sort of something going on, and so then it kind of came to be at the end. So
and then and then he kills Kiefer Sutherland, and like nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yeah.
Like, okay, well, there's someone else that's that's the main. So I thought that was kind of cool. You don't see that for vampire movies very often. A little, I mean, it's as small. It is a pretty small twist, but it's still a twist that came out of nowhere.
Right.
So I do like the story for it. Family. What happened to the dad? Did he die or did he run off?
I don't remember if they even said.
Yeah, I thought they did for a minute, but just like briefly, it's like a throwaway sentence or something to describe to say what happened to him. But the story of them like moving to Santa Cruz, essentially.
Yeah. Santa
Ana? No,
or Santa Carla.
Santa Carla, yeah, that's right. Santa Carla.
Santa Claus.
Yeah. So, and then finding friends who happen to be vampires and having this like love story with a vampire and essentially. I thought that was all pretty cool. I almost forgot like one of the best parts of the entire movie, which was the theme song.
You really like that theme song.
I do. I really do. And it's, you can't, like, I think we were discussing on an earlier episode at one point that like some of the best horror movies have like the best theme music for it.
Yeah.
And I really like the song choice, the score for this.
Yeah.
Some of the 80s songs were 80s. So, but I did like the theme song for this, Cry Little Sister.
Yeah.
It was a good song. And it's one of those things that if you are familiar with this movie and you happen to watch something that has this movie as a trailer and you hear that song before you even know it's a Lost Boys movie, you're going to know it's Lost Boys.
Yeah.
It's one of those
let's hear it for a second.
Yes. It's going to be copyright.
Dum dum.
It's a good one.
Dum dum. Okay. Here we go.
Such a cool.
That is Joel's favorite song
of all time. Yes, for a horror movie, it's a good song. I wouldn't, it's not best of the year or best of that decade or something, but for a horror movie, it fits, and it's a good like creepy with like the kids singing in the background,
right,
kind of song. And I have heard remixes of that, and I think every Lost Boys, there's like a different remix of that song.
Oh, really?
On it, yeah. I think I've seen all three of them. And if they were to remake this classic movie, they have to put that song in there at some point.
Oh, yeah.
They have to. That's like making a Saw movie without the Saw music in there.
Yeah, that song plays, I want to say like 3 or 4 times during the movie. So, like different pieces of it, play.
Yeah.
So. I remember, again, I hadn't seen this movie until recently, but there was a band that did cover that song that I really liked. I didn't even know it was a cover.
Yeah.
I just liked the song.
Just like the song. Yeah. It's a good song.
So yeah.
It's a cover.
Definitely 80s.
It is.
Sounding.
This original version. Yeah. And the other song choices in this movie as well. Like, wasn't there the first one that they play when they...
Oh, yeah.
People are,
The Doors.
Yeah, the Doors.
Yeah.
People Are Strange.
Yeah.
That's a good song, too.
Yeah.
And it fits this movie.
Right.
As well. So,
right.
I like the song choices for this movie. So,
nice.
And the scores and everything like that. So, yeah, I would say those are my positives for this movie.
Okay. That's actually what I was going to say. The credits, the beginning with that song and how they're showing Santa Cruz. And, you know, if you've been to Santa Cruz, that's what it looks like. And so it's very, it's very accurate. The people, too, are very, that's what they look like.
People are strange when you're...
So I like that. I thought that was cool. But, you know, that's because we've been there. We're from California, so we have a connection there. But I still liked it. I like Kiefer Sutherland. I like him in everything he's in. He had a really cool mullet. His mullet was awesome. I like all the dangly earrings. Dangly earrings and like feathers.
Yeah. They were... Yeah.
I actually did have a dangly earring at one point.
Really?
Yeah. When I was...
Oh, man.
I want to say I was like a freshman in high school. I had a dangly cross.
You were trying to be one of the vampires in this movie.
I don't know why I did that to myself, but so
people
dumb.
do weird things when
people
they're in
are strange.
Yeah.
But yeah, the vampires have dangly earrings. Very cool. And Corey Feldman. Edgar Frog.
Edgar Frog, yeah.
His voice. Yeah, his voice was cracking me up the whole time. Every time he talked. Like, that's not his real voice, is it?
I don't think it is. I haven't seen a movie of his in a while, but I don't remember it being... I don't think Donatello had that deep of a voice.
No.
And then Ninja Turtle movies.
Yeah, and he's like a kid in this. So...
Yeah,
I was like, what is up with this guy's voice? It was so funny. It definitely had like that 80s kid adventure style, like Goonies, like Stand By Me, this one, and then I think of Stranger Things when I think of that stuff.
That's homaging the 80s. So
yeah. I liked all the camera work. It reminded me, especially when there was like more intense scenes with the vampires, reminded me of Evil Dead. And the like zooming and quick camera work and you know, that like that style that has not been really done since Evil Dead and forever since. But this one kind of had a little bit of that feel. Yeah,
it did.
The movie was kind of funny. The kills were kind of cool. There weren't that many though.
Yeah,
there weren't very many.
I think that was why I didn't mention it. Yeah, I don't remember the kill. Yeah, I mean they get a stake through the heart. There was one. The bathtub scene was
that
pretty
scene
cool.
Was cool. Yeah, it was funny because he gets tossed in the bathroom full of like holy water and garlic. And he just starts melting, and then he like goes down into the water, and then he comes up, and he's like a skeleton. And then all this like blood starts bursting through pipes, and then the toilet like explodes.
It's like every kill was different, affected them differently.
Yeah,
I think the main like boss, I think he like blows up. Or
yeah, he blew up right away.
It's like okay.
So yeah, and then the theme song, I gotta say it stands out, and that's what you need for a good horror movie, is a theme song that stands out. Yeah, you know, and I think that's definitely what this one had. Okay, so yeah, that's all my positives.
All right,
what do you think about negatives?
I honestly don't have too many negatives for this movie. I I had seen this movie several times. I just watched it again the other day to get a refresher. But like I was saying, for the most part, the acting was good. But there was definitely some cringy moments. I think the younger brother, Corey Haim, I think some of his lines were not very good.
Do you think it was his lines or the acting?
I think probably it's both.
Yeah.
I think it was both. I don't remember exactly what the lines were, but I remember like cringing at some of the acting that he did in particular. Even some of like the other vampires were I mean, some of them were okay, but I think they did a pretty decent job for the most part.
Yeah.
What was his name? Alex Winter is one of them, who was Bill in Bill and Ted.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Bill and Ted movies.
Yeah.
I think it's the only other movie that he's been in besides the Bill and Ted movies. But he did a pretty good job. He was like the blonde vampire.
Yeah.
And I mean, besides, like, there was like I was saying, there was some pretty cringeworthy moments, but acting was good. But yeah, it would be the Corey Haim character, I think, for the most part, would be my negative for the acting wise for this. And like I was saying, I do like the like what the vampires look like when they turned into vampires. That was pretty cool. But some of the special effects were a little bit dated.
Okay.
Like I was saying earlier too. In my positives, I was saying these, I was blending them both together. But yeah, I mean, those are pretty much the main negatives that I have for this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I liked it a lot. So.
All right.
Yeah. Those have been my negatives. Yeah. I was trying to see if I had any more, but I can't think of anything.
Yeah. All right, so for me, negatives, it was a little slow at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like I said, I'm not really a big vampire guy. And I think after talking about this and realizing that it was kind of slow for me, because it was building that, like, romance piece to the storyline. And I think that's part of the reason why vampire movies don't appeal to me, because there's kind of always, I feel like there's always that. There's always some sort of romance going on. Even in Blade there was.
Yeah, I mean, for vampire movies, because the biting of the neck can to some seem kind of sexual.
Yeah.
Some ways. There generally is some romantic or sexual moments in vampire movies because that is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? I wouldn't say romantic thing to do, biting the neck. Yeah. Not to making it bleed.
Like giving hickeys. And, you know, I'd never thought of it that way. So, yeah, I could see that. And it's, Dracula is like the style of writing and stuff back then, it was romanticizing, all kinds of stuff. So that, there's that story that was kind of slow for this one. I'm like, okay, let's get to the vampires. Like, this is a vampire movie.
Yeah. You don't actually see anyone turn into a vampire for a little while in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I was like kind of lukewarm with the movie up until the older brother starts turning. Then it gets a little more exciting. And then from that point on, it's very good.
Yeah.
But the build up to that was
okay. You see a couple people get killed, but you see like the cameras above them. You don't actually see the vampires themselves as they're taking the people away.
Right.
So I thought that was kind of cool with like the camera work and everything.
Yeah. The camera work was really cool. It was like the camera was like flying around,
Yeah.
It was like floating everywhere. That was cool. But yeah, I would say it was just kind of slow at first. And I'm just not that big into vampires. So that's kind of always just going to be a whatever to me.
Yeah.
Even these vampires, which were really cool, just the whole vampire story is kind of lame. So yeah, those are my negatives.
Okay.
So overall, it seems like we have a pretty positive outlook.
Yeah, we didn't have many negatives either of us, so that's good.
So what do you think about you are gonna grade this?
So I I enjoy this movie more and more the more times that I've seen it throughout the years. I think the last time I watched it was probably the most I've enjoyed it.
Okay.
It's just something about it. Like it's definitely 80s.
Right.
But it's a classic vampire movie. It's gonna be in the books as one of the best vampire movies.
Yeah.
Of all time. I would assume. And deservedly so. I mean, it is a good movie all around. So, I'm gonna give this one. I would say I'm gonna give it a 92.
Okay, nice. That's pretty high.
Yeah, I really like this movie.
All right, I'm gonna go with an 80.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Just not necessarily my thing when it comes to vampires, but this and Blade are kind of neck and neck for probably my two favorite vampire movies.
Dusk Till Dawn.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one in a really long time.
Yeah.
So I would have to rewatch that. But yeah, so an 80. That's kind of like, I feel like my score when I like it, it's above average.
Mm-hmm.
It's above average.
It's a B. B minus.
B minus.
Yeah.
You're just a little better than everybody else. So yeah. All right, so go ahead and follow us on Facebook. We are at Scare Talk Podcast on Facebook, and then on Twitter at Scare Talk Pod. Listen to us on all the podcasting platforms that you can listen to. And yeah, I guess that's it.
All right.
So this has been Scare Talk.
Sleep tight.
Don't let the Frog Brothers bite.